Right, hello there everybody, welcome back to the ACFC NYC HQ here in suburban New York. It's the middle of the afternoon for me, hence these impeccable aesthetics. And that is exactly why all those horrid little nerds like me who went to Tokyo once in their 30s told you that Japan were a very serious proposition for this tournament. But it is also, sadly, why Carlo Ancelotti is very good at football. And in the tournament's most tactical battle so far, it was Brazil, the most vibes team in it, we're told, who came out on top. I'm going to show you how that happened. All right, so first up, Japan are one of the few teams in the whole tournament who are playing a back three. They had a number of quite big injuries in the lead-up, most notably Karu Mitoma, but the structure that Hajime Moriyasu has brought into this team makes them one of the hardest to play against. And the idea behind the structure is because most teams who have a lot of the ball like to build with three at the back, the three attackers can either go man for man and press them all individually, or sit quite narrow and block off every single central passing lane. And the idea being that by blocking those central spaces, they hope to intercept the ball rather than win it and then break from there. Like if you remember the England game, that is how they won that. They weren't aggressive with Palmer. They just crowded him out, nicked the ball back, and then exploited the space either side of the single pivot. And I remember seeing that at the time and thinking it was a really good goal because of the way they finished it off, but it's entirely made by how quickly, once they get the ball back, they get the wrong side of the opposition number 6. Now in that game, it was Kobe Mainoo who was having an absolute nightmare trying to play against this, but for the first chunk of this match, Japan were so brave and caused Brazil so many problems. They actually did press them unusually high. They went man for man over the entire pitch. They made it very difficult for them to get any sort of structured passing together. They kept forcing mistakes and they looked like they turned up with a collective system here that was going to be too much for the individual talents of the Brazil side. And in the first half especially, they just couldn't live with that. Like Casemiro looked like he was having an absolute shocker. But part of that wasn't actually really his fault. It was down to the way that Ancelotti just hadn't made any adaptations for the fact he was playing against a 3-4-3. Because the way Brazil normally play, and yes, this is Brazil now, I haven't got any different coloured players, you do a 4-3-3, but you've got two very creative and attacking number 8s, and you've got fullbacks who like to get high up the pitch so that your wingers can come in field a little bit. It leaves your single pivot, your number 6, Casemiro in this case, with an awful lot of space to try and defend, with an awful lot of space that can then be exploited on the counter-attack. And that was Japan's game plan in the first half. They'd get the ball back and they would attack into those areas. Like it happens early on and he's forced to rashly dive in and gets himself a booking, which if you're Japan, that's absolutely brilliant because the only player now defending this space can't even really jump in. He can't even make a tactical foul. He got him right on the edge already. And when you watch the goal, there is an argument that he should have made a tactical foul here, but he couldn't. Like, Japan aren't aggressive in trying to win the ball back, but they do shut off all the central options. They intercept it, and then, just like against England, they break at pace. Sano skips ahead of Casemiro like he's not there, and because A, cannot get back goal side because his legs won't allow him to, and B, cannot just take the foul and potentially a second yellow card, he's free to run all the way up to the edge of the box where he applies a really smart finish. But, my dear friends, we are not here to talk about how Japan won this game because obviously they didn't, so I'm going to show you now how Carlo Ancelotti completely changed the momentum and the pattern and set Brazil on a path to inevitably go and get the goals. Because, like, as we just said, what Japan want to do is win the ball back in this centre of the pitch, the middle in every sense of the word, somewhere around the opposition central pivot. And in that first half, this is every single time they got the ball back. It's tackles and it's interceptions. And look at the central concentration of them in the very middle of the pitch. Not their own third, not the opposition third, those passing lanes through the centre. But then, look at how this changes in the second half. Suddenly there isn't a single one more than a few yards from the edge of their own box. And this is their best weapon for how to hurt teams. So how did Brazil completely take it away from them? And the very simple answer is that you cannot lose the ball in this area of the pitch if you stop trying to play it through this area of the pitch. Ancelotti moved both Vinicius and Ryan much further wide and much higher up the field, which then pinned Japan into a full-time back five, and then they built by accessing these wide areas instead. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot we can say about the way Japan defend. Like, part of the reason they have this back three is that so, if they need to, they can just be in a back five, because as one of the shortest teams in the tournament, what they can't defend with their physical height, they can then defend with numbers in the box. This isn't necessarily a bad thing for them. But the problem was, once Brazil managed to box them in a bit, they never got back out of that. And again, just to do another first half, second half comparison for you, these are all of Brazil's crosses in that first half. And yes, okay, those are certainly some crosses, but these are all of Brazil's crosses in the second half. They absolutely bombard this Japanese defence with balls into the box. And while, yes, obviously that's where the Casemiro goal comes from, possession built out wide and then simply not enough good headers in the area to pick up someone extra running in from the midfield, this might actually be the most dramatic way to illustrate this for you. These are all Brazil's key passes. So these are all the passes that lead to a chance being taken on goal. And as you can see, in the first half, again, they're all from this central area. They want to play through the middle, get here, create chances. That's what Brazil like to do, but it's also where Japan were taking the ball off them. Now, switch this to the second half, and all of a sudden there's virtually nothing being created in the central part of the pitch. These are all deep, long balls. And as you can see, like, loads of these are just crosses. Loads of them are just balls out wide. Even that brilliant Vinicius Jr. chance where he nearly scores maybe one of the best goals in the history of the World Cup, that is because Brazil get the ball in this position, decide we're not going to play it through the centre, and just go from inside the pitch to outside the pitch as directly as they can. And then, of course, as for the winning goal, you can see it here, that is a central pass from that exact zone, what they were trying to do in the first half, but you go and you wind back how they physically get there. You can see the initial play, that starts in the wide areas. They don't actually go through the part of the pitch where Japan are good at winning it. They play it down the right, they try to find the edge of the box, lose it, but when it comes back into that area, win it again and play the ball laterally across. And I'm just going to show you maybe the most single heartbreaking thing I've seen in this tournament so far. Because you shouldn't really be able to find Martinelli with two defenders right here, but just as the pass is about to be made, have a look at Sugawara's head. He just checks to make sure Vinny hasn't snuck up on him to steal in, and then when he looks back, he checks his distance to Martinelli, and then when he looks back up at the ball, it has already been played. He does the right thing. He checks his positioning. He makes sure he knows where all the other players are. He's not ball watching. But if he had been ball watching, he'd have taken a step towards Martinelli before the ball was played. He'd have read that instead of having to react to it. And 96th minute winner. But the thing is, as sympathetic as I am to this, and as brave as Japan were leading up to their first goal, both like their own mentality and the changes Brazil made led to them losing a lot of courage, becoming a lot more passive as the game wore on. Like, this is the cumulative goal threat as the game is played. Like, Japan have absolutely nothing after their goal, whereas after the changes at half-time, Brazil just go and go and go and go to the point where both goals felt inevitable. Which, you know, as someone who did drop $100 on this kit the day he got out here and has obviously really let his mouth go about Japan's chances, is incredibly frustrating, because the vibe you get from that game was if they hadn't then tried to defend their lead straight away and they'd kept doing what they'd been doing, they could have continued to cause Brazil an awful lot of problems. And while not necessarily run away with the game, certainly not be defending as deep for as long. But still, at the end of the day, you have to give all the credits to Carlo Ancelotti here for what was a really, really smart tactical shift at half-time. And the Bruno assist for that goal, under that much pressure, that late in the game, with everything that is at stake there, that might be the best assist we've seen in the tournament so far. It might be the best assist we see in the tournament, full stop. Like, there is only a very small percentage of players who could do something like that for you. So yes, my Japan dark horses tip did as well as my Scotland might actually be alright. tip. So I can only assume that the nation of Brazil personally hates me, which is tough to take. But of course, if you would like to see all the other very many ways that entire nation is going to ruin my World Cup, you can subscribe to us here at the Adam Clery Football Channel. Maybe I'll go buy a Brazil top now. That'll show them, and you can get me across all the social medias at Adam Clery, Clery. And finally, for all the Japanese subscribers we've added, because I keep saying really nice things about their chances, Osaki ni shitsuri shimasu. Except it's obviously the opposite way around, because you're actually leaving before me, which I didn't expect. Gomen nasai. Sayonara.